evening, thrill seekers. Welcome back to the shadowy realm of the chopping block.
And live from Toronto, it's Saturday night. Sorry. Excuse me. This is supposed to be the Meet the Host episode for Chopping Block Season 2. I love what you guys do. But this is could we do a different intro? Okay, great. Anyway, big fan. Thanks so much. And now I proudly present one of your hosts of the Chopping Block Season 2. She is witchy and bitchy. She is 429 years old, though she's a little bit self-conscious about turning 430, but we'll get to that later. And now I proudly present the ugliest bitch in the East, Agatha! Okay, as you may have heard from my very wonderful introduction, my name is Hagatha, and no, that is not a family name. That is unfortunately a nickname that I was given because there are some very crazy beauty standards in the village where I came from. I am originally from a town that rhymes with Malem, Massachusetts, and I left during a certain trial because they said, oh, she can read. So they went, she's a witch! And then anyway, I left, so.
I'm Cathode Ray, transmitting to you from the low-watt limbo of Channel 37, broadcasting out of the Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania.
Greetings, chopping blockers and chopping blockettes. I am Count Rahun, and I am haunting you from good old Nashville, Tennessee-vania.
Well, we are the Sick World of Dr. Show. I'm the titular Dr. Show.
I'm Trixie, the dancing skeleton.
And I am Creature.
And we come from the great city of Columbus, Ohio. Some have tried to be the best, but none of them can be, because it's Columbus. That's the only one.
My name is Graveyard Gill. I'm the host of Graveyard Gill's Midnight Thrills. And I'm from Elmwood, USA. You just have to pick which Elmwood.
Hey everyone, my name is Kenny Scott Guffey, and I am originally from a very small town in south central Kentucky called Columbia. And I grew up there, went to high school there, lived there for a good portion of my life before I relocated to a different city with my wife.
I'm Layla, and I haunt around the internet mostly.
Hello, I'm the producer, Giovanna, of the Halloween Horror Hour. We are Dead Media's favorite undead, hosted by Halloween, Sam, Scary Ghost, and myself, with a few other ghosts and ghouls.
Good evening, my victims. For those of you who do not know me, I'm Malvolia, the Queen of Screams. And I'm usually in the gallows, lurking in the shadows of Horrorwood, California.
Well, I'm Eddie Macabre. I come from the Popcorn Theater. But to be honest, I'd love to go back to my hometown, Flushing, New York.
Hi, I'm Mel Heflin, and I play Poppy Butterington, and I hail from Florida, the Orange State.
I'm drawn to the kind of horror movie that has ambition beyond its means, where the spirit outweighs the budget. The stuff that's too sincere to be cynical and too weird to ignore. Case in point, my all-time favorite horror movie is Sam Raimi's Evil Dead 2.
I would say for me personally, monster movies or anything directed by Ed Wood.
I would say anything with a skeleton in it, because skeletons are the best, obviously.
I am drawn to anything with Frankensteins.
You know, I do like a lot of modern horror, and I do love 70s and 80s horror, but I will always go back to the classics. I just love a good gothic style to any movie that I'm watching. Just give me an old school castle, some fog, a full moon, throw in a few vampires and werewolves, and maybe even some mad scientists, and I feel right at home.
Oh, the gorier the better. Also, the goofier the better. Nothing better than a couple laughs with all the blood and guts.
I like to explore all genres. To me, anything can be horror, and that makes the possibilities endless. You don't need $1 million budget and some 20+ movie deal. You just need a camera, some creativity, and a story to tell. I like finding those stories and what's sort of been forgotten in the flashiness of franchise.
We cover all types of horror on the show, and each of us has a different preference. I like big animals, Jaws, Jurassic Park, Grizzly, so on.
Well, found footage and destination horror. I love a creepy haunted house or a elegant evil island.
Anything with big hair and synthesizers.
Well, I love something really campy and usually creature features.
I love a good campy type of horror. The dumber it is, the better. Especially when you see title like, why the hell does that exist? So when I see that, I lock in.
So the types of horror films that I'm drawn to are the films that make me think, that make me feel engaged with what I'm watching. I don't like films that just kind of spoon feed me every single detail and fact about what's going on. I like to kind of slowly piece together what's going on throughout the project that I'm watching. So those are the types of horror films and just films in general that I'm drawn to.
This season, I'll be guiding you through a gloriously grimy mix of lost legends, blood-soaked B-movies, analog nightmares, and no-budget fever dreams, all unified by their devotion to doing more with less.
First of all, we start off with the greatest horror movie ever made, which is Day 13, August 23rd. Which is one of the greatest horrors. I don't even want to begin to talk about it because I don't want to spoil it for you, the person watching it right now. Tell them all about it, Creature.
Well, it takes place on Day 13.
That's all we're going to tell you. Then, of course, we have...
Horror of Spider Island!
When is that, Trixie?
Why, it's on September 27th, Dr. Show. Thank you for asking.
What's that about, Creature?
It's about spiders on an island.
That's pretty much it!
Yeah.
That's all you need to know. That's the hook to get you into watch. Spiders.
There might be babes in it, and it might be from the 50s.
Or 60s.
Or, yeah.
But mostly babes and spiders. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, who can ask for more?
What more do you want from us, America?
I'm really excited about hosting 3 short films for the chopping block this season. The first movie is Son of Piggyzilla. It's not a giant pig, it's a giant guinea pig that rampages through Bumfunk, Idaho. I think the name of the town is. And it's the same creative team that's behind my second film for this season, Caesar Renato in the House of Dracula. I was actually a big fan of the Caesar Renato film series from way back when, so this is a real treat for me. But the third short is a straight horror film. It kind of turns the slasher genre on its head a little bit because it's called Sweet Tooth. And instead of the slasher hitting people and blood and guts fly everywhere, it seems that everyone's entrails is made of candy and cake and all kinds of other sweets.
I'm hosting Island of the Dolls, which is one of those classic films where a bunch of morons go to an island full of dolls. Obviously, it won't go well for them. I'm also hosting a film called Head. Maybe you've heard of it. I'm in it. And this is the 10th anniversary year, so I'll have some special guests on that episode. And then another film is Ed Gein the Musical. Or is it Ed Gein? Ed Gein, Ed Gein. Either way, it's a musical, and who doesn't want music when you're turning human flesh into lampshades? Another one is Bubba the Redneck Werewolf. Did you know that movie's based on a comic book? Huh. They'll make movies based on anything these days. Next thing you know, there'll be puppets in movies. And of course, we gotta do a holiday-themed one. Hell on the Shelf. Elves, kids, nothing worse than that at Christmas.
So the idea is to find these horror shorts, so I haven't researched them too heavily yet. They're my leads as I try to find out what is happening in my town, basically. I think that there's fun in this, and hopefully the fun in my little hosting experiment is watching along with me as we uncover these stories together.
Hallow and Sam picked out 5 I haven't seen yet. Ouija, Japan, Demons 2, Talon Falls, and Tokyo Homestay Massacre.
I'm hosting a few female-driven horror films along with some found footage like Wonder Valley, Eve, The Depraved, The Taking of Deborah Logan, and a lot more fun surprises.
Let's start with, we have The Return of Swamp Thing, and everyone knows why to watch that, the Heather Locklear. Then we got Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, which really, children should not play with dead things. I mean, if you've ever seen Pet Sematary. Then there's Curtains, which is basically how I'm going to feel about my career after this interview. We got Glowsies, which, if you're a 90s kid, you definitely own some glow sticks. Then there's The Last Broadcast, which came before Blair Witch. I'm just saying. And finally, Attack of the Killer Donuts. Because who can resist a movie about killer confectionery items?
They're a little spooky. They're a lot of fun. And I personally love them, so I know you will too.
I am hosting 4 great films. 3 have been determined already. The 4th is still to be determined, and it is a holiday-themed one. We have Opening Fright. After disastrous opening night, the cast and crew of Ridgefield Community Playhouse are ready to go home and curl up with their failures. Only someone or something isn't allowing them to do so. Armed with only a malfunctioning cell phone and their acting abilities, in other words, very little, they set out to escape from ultimate evil, a bloodthirsty demonic monster from the bowels of hell, intent on capturing them, tearing them from limb, and devouring their still beating hearts, not necessarily in that order. Shudder. A man's printer begins printing disturbing images of him while he's home alone. He comes to the chilling realization that he isn't alone. Distance. In the not-so-distant future, a young couple must cope with living separately in their home.
My production partner DK and I, we are hosting the classic George Romero thriller Night of the Living Dead. How could you not? That was on the list. I mean, come on. That's always on every single list of horror films that you must watch. We're also going to be screening Resurrection Mary and Dementia 13 by Francis Ford Coppola. Yes, that Francis Ford Coppola.
Well, considering that I am mostly undead myself, I'm gonna say Night of the Living Dead.
Of course, it's Dracula. But I kind of have a love-hate relationship with it because it's a great movie, but I still haven't forgiven Bram Stoker for basically stealing my memoirs, changing the names of the characters, and then just passing it on as his own work. And what really sticks in my craw is that his widow, who I'm sure she knew what he did, you know, she basically sues F.W. Murnau for doing the same thing with Nosferatu. It's like, hypocrite much? Come on. But I've always said that Bela Lugosi plays me better than I could play myself, so major props. Major props.
And my favorite horror movie is The Ruins. Destination Horror.
Whatever shows on the Horror Hour, we've had so many spooky short films and macabre music videos by some gruesome filmmakers, and it's hard to pick.
What's my favorite horror movie? Beaches.
My favorite horror movie is Stay Alive. It combines video games and horror And Elizabeth Bathory, it's way too fun.
So my favorite horror movie is Nosferatu Symphony of Horror, the 1922 movie. It is just so camp. I love all of his like little sneaky little movements and the eye action that we're getting. Love some eye acting, fantastic eyebrow acting, great finger acting. And I don't know, he's a little sexy.
My favorite horror movie is George Romero's Night of the Living Dead. I remember seeing that movie as a kid, and there was just something terrifying to me about the prospect of dead people coming back to life. And not just coming back to life, but coming after you. That really scared me. And to be honest, really it really still does.
Blair Witch, The Ring, anything that feels like it could happen to you, especially when it comes to finding a videotape or a movie on the internet, because I think something strange is happening in real life and I plan to find it.
I would not consider myself a full-time horror host or anything like that. I'm just a filmmaker who enjoys movies, enjoys horror movies, and I really wanted to get involved with the chopping block with Kings of Horror. When I'm not hosting horror films, I'm probably making some films. I've made some horror films over the last few years, and then I've also recently wrapped a couple other projects of a different genre, but I'm getting ready to shoot another horror film in the fall.
Crying.
What do I do when I'm not hosting a horror film? I'm eating snacks and watching them, of course.
Usually I'm popping popcorn or I'm cleaning up around the theater. People are really messy these days.
Well, hunt for victims, of course, and bask in the moonlight.
When am I not working on the show? But I started out in ghost hunting, and then I got really into 80s aerobics, and kind of just always watching horror films.
I like to go to school. I like to work at my local video game store. I try to find the real life horror going on in my town. You know, the usual.
I'm just hanging around the crypt, cooking, cleaning, collecting dead body parts.
So what do I do when I'm not hosting horror films? I'm watching horror films, and just films in general. Seriously, I go to the movies like an ungodly amount per week, about 3 or 4 times. So I see a lot of horror films, but I also see a lot of non-horror films. I saw Materialists. That was the most recent movie I watched last week. It's a great movie if you like romance and just good writing. A big fan of writer-director Celine Song. But more recently, horror films, I've watched Bring Her Back, Final Destination, Bloodlines. I just saw Dangerous Animals. And I'm actually going to see the new 28 Years Later very soon this week. So
when I'm not on the air, I'm usually stuck in some kind of temporal signal loop, so I try my best to maintain the broadcast equipment here in the Channel 37 control room, which isn't far from what my job actually was at the station before the incident of 99.
A sassy ghoul who's a little bit of goth with a killer personality.
A good moniker, a solid shtick, and knowledge of horror.
I think it's someone who's your friend while watching a horror movie.
Money.
Well, I guess we're about to find out. Or, honestly, someone who just really loves the genre and is very passionate about filmmaking and is just here to have a fun time. So, let's see where that takes us.
I think a great horror host is someone who the audience enjoys watching and hanging out with, spending time with, as much as they enjoy watching the film. There are a great many horror hosts throughout history, from Sven Gulli to Elvira and everyone in between. I would not begin to put myself in that caliber of greatness, but I do hope that the audience does enjoy hanging out with DK and myself for a few minutes to watch some great films and maybe some discussion. I think the banter that we have between us is something that the audience will enjoy.
What makes a great horror host is the ability to know exactly what you're talking about, and if you're not good at it, just making it up as you go along.
Obviously, somebody that has a good working knowledge of horror films, about the history, about the behind-the-scenes stuff, general themes about the movie. But also, I feel like a great quality for a horror host to have is just a willingness to learn. To always be on the lookout for movies in the past or present that you haven't seen, that you want to learn more about the filmmaker that made it, why. I guess the most important quality for a horror host is to strike a good balance. I feel like it is our responsibility to educate people about horror films, which I feel like has been an important part of cinema history in general, but also to be entertaining. There's a lot of dark times that we've lived through the last few years, so for me, I try to be a beacon of light and a plethora of useless information for my audience. I think that's important.
What makes a horror host great? Do you mind if I take this one since I'm the only freaking host here? You show up on time, you hit your mark, and you say your lines.
Helps if you're a skeleton.
No, it doesn't. What about you, Creature? What makes a good horror host?
What are you trying to imply? I know my lines. Always bringing that up.
Okay, do you see how he's saying that like half a beat quicker than he should? It's honestly didn't know his mark.
But I got my lines right.
Do you hear this, America? He doesn't know his mark!
I love the films, even the gnarly ones. A good host finds that balance, being part monster, part museum curator. You gotta be funny without making fun, and informative without ruining the magic. You do it because you love it, even when nobody's watching. Especially when nobody's watching.
A great horror host needs to let the movie shine. And no, she's just hosting it for the world to see. It's not her story to tell.
I tried to be unpredictable. Not in a scary way. For instance, for my YouTube channel, I'm about to do, I'm about to present Night of the Living Dead. And I feel like a lot of people don't make the connection between George Romero and Mr. Rogers. So I start out the show with a parody of Mr. Rogers' theme song. It's zombie themed, of course. So things like that. I like for you to get some education when you watch something that I present, but I just want you to have fun. That's really the biggest part about anything your count likes to present.
What's a good message to the folks of the world before they press play on our video? We're sorry.
Oh,
sorry. We really tried our best.
It's a scariety show, so anytime it gets to be too frightening, remember that Hal and Sam will be back soon.
My message is that if you like uncovering horror and finding the things society doesn't want you to see, then you're like me, and we're gonna have some fun looking through these shorts together. Let's see what we can uncover.
So as we embark on this season of the Chopping Block together, before you press play on your first installment of Cathode Ray TV, always remember and never forget, to err is to be human, to forgive is to be divine, and to be kind is to rewind. We'll be right back.
Always expect the unexpected. Have your snacks ready.
I would tell them, lock the door, look under your bed, turn off the lights, and get ready to have such a fun time because we're going to watch such fun movies, and I'm so excited to be on this journey with all of you. Thank you so much to all of the fantastic Kings of Horror fans. Anyway, stay spooky and stay a little sexy.
I just want the viewers to remember that we don't always have to be so plugged into everything that's going on in life right now, be it, globally or personally with your issues. Sometimes it's okay to just unplug and sit down and forget about what's happening in the real world and real life for an hour and a half to 2 hours. Unplug, unwind, relax, and enjoy a movie. There's nothing better.
We're watching horror movies, friends. Let's not take it too seriously. It ain't rocket science. It's actually more important.
What's the message that I have for the viewers before they press play? Do not, and I repeat, do not sprain your finger while you like and subscribe.
Stay spooky, friends.